And you are listening to the #1 talk big show in all of North Carolina. This is Joe Vagnone, and you are listening to News Talk WSIC, 105.9 FM, 100.7 FM, 1400 AM. I am Joe Vagnone. This is Local Biz Now, and if it's Friday morning, your business matters. We hope that we can inspire, inform, and entertain you for this entire hour. I promise you that's going to happen here today. We have a special edition of Local Biz Now. We have flown in all the way from Greenville. You know, the expert is always the person that comes from out of town. So we have that. Most of you who are friends of the show know this gentleman. He has been a friend of the show. He's been a friend of small business in our area, and he has delivered more times than I can remember. When I call and ask him to help, he's always there to do that. We are going to spend the entire hour with business ethics expert, keynote speaker, consultant, author, and one of my, whether he will admit it or not, good friends and managing partner of Primeau Productions, a production video marketing company that is second to none. And we're hoping you're going to learn a whole bunch of stuff about a whole bunch of stuff from a really super cool dude, which is Chuck Gallagher. Chuck, my friend, thank you for being here, buddy.
Joe, I watched you, and I don't think you took a breath that whole time. You have more diaphragmatic breath control than anybody I think I've ever seen. Man, I am impressed.
Let me just say this for the people that don't know. I met Chuck Gallagher years ago from one of our co-hosts. I was looking for a speaker for one of our small business events. We did not know each other. I called him and asked him if he could do his speaking event. Now, you understand, Chuck gets paid thousands of dollars to speak. And I called him, and in my normal Joe approach, I said, hey, listen, have I got a deal for you?
Oh, yes. That's exactly what you said. And I knew it was going downhill from there.
And when it was over with, clearly he knew he was going to get nothing for the speaking engagement, have to pay for his own transportation, pay for his own lunch, right? And he still said yes because he wanted to help small business in the area, and because a friend of his, another friend of the show, Steve Gilliland, said, I'm sure that Chuck, no, I'm sorry. That was the other way around. I apologize for that.
No,
I apologize for that.
I don't know. That might be true. Steve might have been the introducing factor for us. I think he was.
Well, both of you two introduced me to both of you. I don't remember
I think it's
exactly
kind of like
worked.
we're frickin' frack, okay?
That's right.
He's the more important frick, and I'm the frack, just so we're clear.
The bottom line is, Chuck, you have for years been honoring us with your speaking engagements, and it was just absolutely unbelievable. I mean, for years after the event, people were still coming up to me saying, who was that guy? He was just phenomenal. And you've been delivering ever since then, buddy. Thank you so much.
Well, yeah, hey, listen, first, it was a real pleasure. I've got a heart for small business. I've been a small business person for a long, long time, and that's the backbone of the country. So, you know, to the extent I could help, it was a great honor. I appreciate it.
And I think that's one of the reasons why you and I get along, right? Other than you like picking on me. Right. But you and I, we kind of see the world through the eyes of what can I do to make it better? How can I change it just a little bit? Right. And we sort of have this intentional way of looking at life and business and moving through it. Right. And,
yes.
And I think that's why you and I just kind of got this connection.
Well, plus I'm just enamored with a guy that has a radio show. I mean, it's
right.
Something I've always aspired to do. Gosh, Joe, and never broken through there.
Let me be clear. Friday mornings, I'm in charge. Now, I want you to be perfectly clear here. I'm in charge. You see all those buttons over there?
You don't know a thing about it. Don't even try to front me on that, Joe. Engineers looking like,
Isaiah,
what?
He's defending you well this morning, right?
Thank you.
I'm just hoping you get something from McDonald's later today. I'm just saying.
Okay, enough with the silliness. Chuck, you are sincerely genuine person, and I thank you so much for everything that you've done. I want to talk a little bit about you personally. I cannot have a conversation about Chuck Gallagher without starting with the story in which you tell yourself. I love to tell people you're my favorite convict. Thank
you so much. That should be a TV show. My favorite convict.
My favorite convict. You'd be great at a TV show. You'd be great at it.
Maybe we should do that.
But it's not the story of what you did, because I despise what you did, right?
Yeah. So do I.
Especially as a business person. But I love the way you picked yourself back up and started to reinvent yourself. And you've done that since I've known you for years, over and over again. So talk just briefly about probably one of the worst moments in your life. Certainly one of the worst decisions in your life.
Okay. Back in the 80s, I was tax partner in a CPA firm. Testified before Congress, wrote articles in national magazines, taught continuing education courses, 30 states. Life was great. Upward trajectory. But I was stupid. I could not manage my own money. I had way too much debt. And in a moment of weakness, embezzled money from clients. And I paid it back. But then I did it again. And I paid it back. And then I found out it was easy. And look, Joe, this is the easiest way to put this for people that will be repulsed by what I just said. If you get on 77 or 40, you've got a car that can exceed the speed limit. You got to get from point A to point B, and y'all going to lie to me if you tell me you don't do 5 to 10 over.
Well, you said something to me that was interesting, because, one of the reasons why I despise what you did, because I had a secretary that years ago stole over $20,000, and it harmed me, and I felt this personal. I can't even describe it, the treachery that happened when somebody you trusted takes something from you. So believe me, I see no positive in that
right.
You doing that.
The feeling of broken trust was more significant to you than the dollars she took.
Absolutely.
I understand that completely.
But then I asked you, I said, Chuck, how do I prevent that from happening in the future? And you said, don't put your employees in the position that they even have the opportunity. And that was interesting to me, because when I look back, you're right. I gave her the statements. I gave her the checks. I let her reconcile the bank statements, right? You know what I mean? And write the checks. All I had to do was sign them, and all she did was easily sign my name, right?
Sure.
So I put her in a position that I should not have done. That's an interesting way to look at that.
Well, here's the thing. Let me be really candid. Most everybody by nature is honest. Most everybody will do the right thing. Most everybody will do the ethical thing until something happens in life that triggers you. And when you are triggered, if I sat here today and took a snake out from under the table and set it here, this room would clear.
Right.
Okay, that would be a triggering moment. So as human beings, human psychology is, when we're triggered, we will do stupid things. And if you get by with doing stupid things, you'll just do them more. So as a small business person, here's the deal. Trust, but verify. So if you walk in and you own a car dealership, or you own I don't care what it is, it doesn't make any difference, any small business in your listening area, but if you walk in and hand the bank statement unopened or the credit card statement unopened to the office manager, what you're in essence saying is, I completely, totally trust you, and they will honor the trust until something happens and they find out you've given them the opportunity to break that trust. So don't give the opportunity. If nothing else, Joe, if you opened the bank statement and then handed it opened to that person, you may never have even looked at it. But the fact that it was open infers you are paying attention.
And that's really important. And somehow, Chuck, you moved past that, right?
Yeah.
You are now executive vice president of a firm that trades on the stock market.
Yeah.
how'd you get to that?
Okay.
Without somebody running a red flag.
Okay, so let me say this in the first place. Number one, after I did the stupid things that I did and then spent time in federal prison as a result of it, when I got out, I was not going to be an accountant again.
That's right. That's right.
I'm just saying. There's no question about that. Mom always said death and taxes. I screwed up taxes, so I started selling cemetery property door to door. And I mean, in the South, when you knock on somebody's door and say, at some point in time, you got to die. You need a place to put your old dead body. And they say, we've been talking about that. Why don't you come in and have some sweet tea? It's on. Okay.
Right.
Well, here's the reality. The reality was someone gave me a chance. And I took the chance and I became the best at that. And every time you are the best at something, new opportunities will present themselves.
And let's take a break. And
sure.
You, Chuck, find opportunities and keep reinventing yourself, right? I see that happening over and over again. We come back, I want to talk about some of that.
Okay.
Chuck, before we dig into your business, I wanted to ask you a couple of things. You and I have been friends for a while, but I haven't asked you these questions. Can you describe how you see success? Because every time I think you've succeeded, you do something else. I'm curious, what does success look like to you?
Creating a positive impact on the people that you come in contact with. That's success. Before prison, for me, success was the car, the watch, the clothes, the house, et cetera.
Right.
Once you have a different perspective, you realize success has nothing to do with the external. Nothing wrong with external, but it really does have an impact when you make a positive impact on other people. And they did that for me. I want to pay that forward.
And let me tell you, buddy, over the years, you are doing that to people. You are making a difference. And you may not know that, but people like Julie and I see that when we ask you to stand in front of people and speak.
I appreciate that. Thanks.
So, well, okay. This is a question I ask every small business person whenever I'm allowed to officially bring out the, we have the.
Oh, wow, paper.
The official, we use paper around here. Ooh. Official verified question by the one and only Julie. Everybody needs a Julie.
A Julie question.
Here's the Julie question. I like to ask people. Describe the biggest business mistake you ever made, and how'd you work through it?
Oh my goodness! Now, Joe.
So for you, would it be the whole problem?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, just absolutely violating every moral, ethical tenet that you can imagine that sends you to federal prison. That's the business mistake.
Right.
Made plenty of them.
And normally when we ask this question, we're not expecting that, right? You
wouldn't expect. Right.
Like my story is, I bought a juicer machine. Isaiah loves to hear my story of the juicer machine.
I see.
I won't describe that right now.
I brought an air fryer, but I've never used it. That's just so we're clear.
That's right.
But Jeff Bezos appreciates the fact that I bought an air fryer.
There you go. You get that. Okay.